everyone. Welcome again to the AI-driven Enterprise Podcast. I'm your host, Arvind Rajan from Astute Business Solutions. With me today, I have Saurabh Mishra. Saurabh is Field CTO and Executive Director for Data and AI Solutions at Oracle. Welcome, Saurabh.
Thank you, Arvind, for your opportunity to talk to the audience.
No, thank you. You and I have been trying to get this going for more than a month now. I know you're very busy and you travel and you're always in front of customers, but let's kick this off. I think the first thing that I want to start out with is when I met you more than a year ago, I think it was around February or March of last year.
Yeah.
One of the things that struck me was your title, Field CTO. And you had to explain that to me, right? What does a Field CTO do? I think that's something that the audience would love to understand. So, can you describe in your own words what Field CTO means and what your role is at Oracle today?
Yeah, it's pretty simple, right? You have a lot going on at every customer, being in North America specifically. I think if I go randomly across my locality and try to find people working in IT, I will face people who will be either SVP, VP, director, program managers, or people who are hands-on development. Any company they work for probably would be an Oracle customer. So when I talk to people, and that's my role, I get different perspective, right? Like how people are adopting AI because AI is the buzzword, how people are using their enterprise data, how they are progressing their business, a different perspective from different verticals and companies around me. And that's what my role is to bring that perspective back to Oracle engineering and to make sure that whatever they produce, thinking and looking at that perspective to help my customer. It's not about a tool or technology choices which the customers make. It's more about how I can help them achieve their goal in near term and in long term make it reliable enough for them to consume. So that's my role as a field CTO. Take back what all experience I get, either from friends or family, which is nearby, or from the customers whom I meet on a day-to-day basis, whether it's a C-level executive or it's a database manager who is operating Oracle database from last 10, 20 years. Get that perspective back to his current problem space, what he's trying to achieve, create that tool or technology and go and help the customers adopt this technology for Oracle. In a way, we get business, in a way, the revenue grows. But at the end of the day, is solving that problem. And that's the role I play as a bridge between those two.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And if I understand this right, Saurabh, in some ways, you're also a brand ambassador for Oracle and Oracle's AI offering, right? You are also out there educating customers on what Oracle's doing, and more importantly, not just what Oracle's doing, but how customers can take what Oracle's offering them and put that together in a way that solves their business problems. Because at the end of the day, what you're focused on is delivering business outcomes, not just showing them what technology is out there.
Yeah, that's not my role of showing technologies at all. Sometimes my presentations will go till the end and then they say, okay, which technology are we talking about? Still talking about Oracle technologies, but sometimes people think Oracle as the database because that's what they know, or probably think as a SaaS application, right? We do a lot in the space, right from infrastructure all the way to providing business value. So there's a lot of technologies which you have developed which will help you solve problems, but sometimes they're not aware. And I sometimes become that brand ambassador or flag bearer for the technologies. But in a way, the business problem comes first, and then we go to tech stack.
Excellent. And that is synonymous with my experience and Astute's experience, where initially a lot of the talking points were about AI, large language models, and Oracle's capabilities. But that was purely the technology layer. We quickly realized that customers were looking for starting points as to what can these AI solutions do to solve my problems today. We understand you have AI services. Many other cloud providers do, but I have to solve a problem. I can't just buy technology for the sake of buying technology. And you have a lot of experience working for other large scale companies, global companies, and you've also been a founding member in your career at some companies. Looking at all of that experience in your previous life and looking at what you're doing now, when you talk to customers, what do you tell them about how they should be building data platforms that remain relevant as AI technologies evolve at this rapid pace that we're seeing them evolve?
Even I was hearing the AI summit which was going on in India right now. It's all about business first AI, right, is what I'm hearing as a trend. And even in the background, we never get an approval for a technology upgrade unless it was making sense for business to do it, right? And
Yeah.
by business, it means two things. Simply put, you run a company, so you know what business means. There are two things. One, you save money or you generate money. There's nothing else other than that. So from a business first perspective, either you should increase that economy of scale or you save some money where you can reuse that money for new initiatives, new research and development. So the two terms which I always go and talk to the C-level executives I meet is how I can help you make money or reduce operational overhead and save you money, which in turns could become a business first AI use case, but that AI is a tool for them to use. And that's how I'm envisioning this as well, that most of the projects which have failed in this AI space and Gen AI space to be specific, the most project which never went production were the one there was no business goal attached to it. More of technology experimentation. Okay, I like this
Yeah.
technology. You have some technology, I like this. Let's try
Yeah.
it, give it a try, and then we'll see what happens with it. That's a wrong approach. It's called a tool first approach. Avoid that is what I would say to every enterprise where I'm meeting today. You have tools. Yes, you have made existing investment on those tools to achieve an outcome in the past. Now, if you just think from the tool first approach that, okay, I have this tool. Now, how to use this tool to achieve AI goals, that's the wrong way to go about it. The business leaders and the technology leaders don't talk to each other sometimes. So we bridge that gap saying, okay, let's come together and figure out what's the business problem you're trying to solve in next 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. And these business problems are not, oh, let's automate this workflow, let's build this agent. Business problem is how do I drive my existing user base from X to Y? How I drive increased consumption of my 10 products which I'm going to release alongside the one product which everybody loves in my company. So adding a 2.5 or 2.6 times sales on top of what they buy today from you just increases your revenue outcome and that generates the money to do AI use cases or support the business goals, right? So don't go tool first approach is what I have seen. And also the famous terms in data like data fabric, data plane, data lake house. Don't go by the fancy terms because AI will need all of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the two things I usually talk to customers nowadays is don't go tool first approach and don't go thinking about what tools and technologies I have and let's enable AI using them. Rather think about business problems you're trying to solve and then go from there. And the business problems are not agent development, not process automation. Those
Yeah.
could be part of it, but the higher goal is to increase revenue.
To your point, agent development is just a means to an end, right? It's one of those software development things that you have to take on once you've determined what the business problem is, what the solution is, and more importantly, what outcome that solution is driving. So if I solve my problem, let's say it is increasing revenue with this AI solution, by implementing this and by putting so much effort and cost and using these various tools and technologies, I am looking for such and such outcome. In your example, you said 2.5x
Yeah.
increase in top line sales, for example. So that's great. And I think that's what customers should hear because there's a lot of hype, there's a lot of noise about AI. To your point, there are lots of new jargons being created every day. And customers have to distill the essence of that and work with people like you to understand that it's about problem solving first and foremost. And then other things, there are experts available at companies like Oracle and Astute to help them figure out the rest of the stuff. So this is great. So now, just as a corollary to that particular question, what do you think are some of the common misconceptions that customers have today about deploying AI, generative AI at enterprise scale when they think about solving company-wide problems?
Yeah, everybody with whom I met, they start with asking questions to me, what are the LLMs you support? Gone the days where there's one LLM, two LLM, three LLM, four LLM. There are so
Yeah,
many LLMs out there. Bharat also released a new LLM recently.
yeah,
So everybody will develop LLMs. That's not the enterprise problem today. Enterprise problem is not about choosing the LLMs or what LLMs Oracle provide or what LLMs other hyperscaler provides. That's the wrong way to start. Again, a lot of people, they do understand the business comes first and they do start with that problem, but they quickly go into identifying data integration technologies, like how I can bring in world's data to my lakehouse or my fabric architecture, data mesh architecture, and then do AI on top. That's the wrong way to think about it. If you want to drive your top line growth, you have applications or products which people are using today. If you don't put AI there first, your top line growth will not increase or will not quadruple as you go forward. So the whole idea of having to create a data lake to achieve the end goal is not. Data lake is still a mechanism through which you consolidate data to achieve an AI use case, but at the same time, it's not the driving force. They will have a business problem and they will go behind developing data lakehouse for next 3 years. By the time the world would have changed. So
Yeah.
don't go about doing that. I call it death by integration. Right? That's the term I use nowadays. Don't go behind the rat hole of I want to keep integrating all my new stuff and bringing all the world data. And sometimes I call it Disneyland strategy as well, right? Like, Disney is a good customer of ours, but from a perspective like you are in Disneyland and then magic will happen. Yes, that's true for a resort or a cruise line, but that's not true for a business. You
Mhm.
don't want to bring all your data into one place and then wait for magic to happen. You think about what magic you want to do and then identify the data which you want to bring together to do it. Or if the data is in the source, and that's becoming much more popular, is AI on live data is much more helpful rather than doing the reverse way. So that's one trend I've seen which is going in the right direction is people understanding that data movement is not required for AI.
Got it. And that's an excellent point. Of late, AI is more front and center in front of our viewers. And what I mean by that is, if you notice the ads at Super Bowl this year, a lot of them were AI companies advertising.
Yeah.
And some of them were a little abstract, but many of them had celebrities endorsing their products, talking about how AI can just magically transform people's lives. And as you just said, it's not magic, right? Real effort goes into this, although the products and services are evolving and they're getting better every day, every week, but customers still have to do their share of the work.
Mhm.
So, do you find that enterprises and customers underestimate the effort required to not only understand what AI means, but also to put that into practice, what it takes to make it work successfully within their organization?
Yeah, definitely. We all crossed a couple of stages in life, right? There was a big data life cycle. Then there was a traditional, we call it now traditional AI ML, but that was a big thing. And then cloud native came around, where people want to develop cloud native application, whether it's running hybrid or cloud. There was a substantial effort required for any of this technology modernization projects, whether it was big data, whether it was adoption of cloud native architectures, whether it's moving to cloud, needed a substantial change in the way people operated in day to day. And that's the same for AI, right? It's not rocket science, but at the same time, it's more of bringing the organizations together. And I call it 9 layer approach to do this. I don't know if you remember TOGAF, right? It gives us a framework to create architectures for cloud
Mm.
native. You iterate on what you did previously, what wrong happened, and how you want to go forward with it. That was the architecture which everybody loved, that framework which provided how to do that transformation. AI native, which is what people are calling it now as an enterprise transformation journey. If you want to convert to an AI native transformation journey, it also needs that layers, right? It needs an authority, it needs approval process, it needs a governing body, not for governing data movement and lineage and all of that. And that's
Mhm.
not what governance means, but identifying the risk. I've met customers who have chief risk officers. Their job becomes much more important now as compared to CISOs because they need to identify the risk by using a certain workload or automating certain thing was the risk they are adopting. The policy they need to change for people to use that. So you still need to have that layered approach of creating AI native transformation inside the organization, and it's not easy. You don't want to start at tools, technologies, consolidating them, data, all of that. As I said, the layer one is talk to business leaders, talk to identify what they want to do in the next 2, 3 years for the company. And that would be your North Star to start from. And then you
Yeah.
go about building the layers. It's not 6 months, it's not 7 months journey. It is probably a transformation which you already have done in the past as a business leader, right? Big data, cloud native, all of those transformations takes time. So yes, it's a journey.
And it has to be a continuous journey, right?
Yeah.
Because for two reasons, it has always been continuous in terms of change in the past with these other cycles that you're talking about. But now with AI and the platforms and underlying technologies changing so fast, where the refresh cycles, if we can call it that, for LLMs, for data platforms, are so much shorter, right? Previously, you would go a year or maybe 2 years between these major releases. Now it's happening every few weeks. So I think understanding that, absorbing that change, and working that into your transformation strategy itself is another governance topic in the sense of change management. You are obviously talking to a lot of Oracle customers, and Oracle customers have Oracle databases, Oracle tech, and Oracle applications. When you talk to Oracle applications customers, the large ERP customers that we have, whether they are using the legacy ERP, as I call it, for PeopleSoft, EBS, JD Edwards, or whether they're on Oracle's modern SaaS offering. Do you find that there are certain use cases or certain business functions that gravitate more towards AI than others?
Yes, definitely. And that's a very interesting question, right? Some of these use cases automatically falls into automation, right? Process automation was the reason SaaS came into this world, right? Automated a lot of monolithic processes. AI is also a lot focused on automation of those processes or workflows. So that's why people naturally gravitate towards automating some of their rudimentary process. Take energy trading, for example. Energy trading in many companies have been on Excel sheet based of macros. They have macros built in. That's how they trade energy. Be it a largest enterprise or be it the smallest enterprise, that's how they trade energy. Converting that, automating that is itself an AI project. So from a ERP perspective, the finance verticals of ERP, the HR verticals of ERP naturally gravitates automatically because their pressure is closing business on time to release the market view into their business, and investor being satisfied with that view is the first most priority. And to do that effectively, they have been challenged with manual work which they have to do to reconcile, sometimes manual or automated work even to reconcile. So those processes naturally gravitate, like finance reconciliation, right? It has been the top problem everybody's trying to solve, but with AI it becomes easier to solve it. So that's why people are gravitating towards this ERP modernization projects and naturally adopting AI there to automate the workflows which have been manual to increase their business efficiency, which in turn saves operating margin and increases your operating margin and cost and accurate reporting to the investors. So it basically allows them to be more efficient in that. So that's the area I've seen a lot happening, a lot adoption of AI happening. But still, there is a lot of gap between understanding what it can do,
Mhm.
cannot do. For example, I was talking to a large procurement manager and they procure goods to create silicon chips. Silicon chips is in huge demands, right? Like
Yeah.
obvious reason is AI. So AI is driving AI, right? So he wants to make his procurement life cycle from 21 days to 2 hours. The reason for that is he wants that transformation to happen in his organization so that the demand and supply can meet the road at some time. So from his perspective, if he becomes efficient in identifying the right supply in the right region to provide on time resources to his factory to create chips, he would be the happiest guy. So we've been working with them to automate this kind of end-to-end procurement using multi-agent architecture, identifying things which needs to be automated, like communication, as simple as that. Communicating with 20 suppliers available in that region. Every supplier has a different way of communication mechanism. Either some have automated it, API, some have text messages, some have emails. So it's like automating that part itself improves the efficiency by a lot. That process of calling them, giving them your requirement, they responding with a document and a procurement manager making a decision, that's a 21-day life cycle in any company. Reducing that to 2 days will improve his factory efficiency overall. So that's just an example I throw around on a recent use case which we're working on, but that's where the people are gravitating towards more.
Well, that's a great example, Saurabh, because in conversations that my team and I have been having with Oracle ERP customers, we are also finding that procure to pay process in ERP is ripe for automation. Not that automation does not exist at all. They had a good number of tools in their legacy applications. For those who moved to SaaS, they got better with that. But there are still some disconnected processes, some manual processes, some document-based processes, and AI has the promise of making all of that much better. Supplier communications is definitely something to address, especially for our larger enterprise customers who have thousands of suppliers. the volume itself of communications can be overwhelming. We're finding similar use cases on the accounts payable side with invoices, with expense automation. The larger the company, the more number of suppliers, the larger the problem statement. So I just want to go down a technology rabbit hole for a second, just to change our topic a little bit. You are also hands-on with Oracle AI, and you and your team, you are going out there to various customer sites and you're implementing various Oracle solutions, right? When you and I spoke briefly last week, you were talking about 26 AI and the agent factory that allows customers now to build agents right on top of 26 AI. So can you spend a minute and just talk about what that is and why customers should be excited about it and how it can help them?
Yeah, as many of the Oracle leaders says, world's critical data lives in Oracle. And that's a fact, right? If you're healthcare, you're financial company, if you're a government company, all of that critical data lives in Oracle database in some shape or form. Now think about modernizing that. People journey was always like take that Oracle data, move it to somewhere, then do
Mhm.
AI on it, then create the models, do agent on it, and then that agent will come back to the application where the critical data is hosted, which is running on Oracle database. That was the loop what people went and did. What we did with Oracle AI database, and that's how I want to call it, 26 AI is our latest version of it. But what we did with Oracle AI database was give the power of all AI requirement. And this is not just one or two tools. We contributed roughly around 200 plus features in Oracle database, including a lot on vector, including a lot on natural language to SQL, including a lot on agentic development with private agent factory just getting released. You can build agents on live data. That is the crux of it. When you think about building agents on live data, those are the agents which can produce real business value because those are the agents which will have the right data to make the right decisions on behalf of you and automate that process. And that's what Oracle AI database provides so that as a developer, as a engineering manager, or as a VP, you can explore your Oracle data in real time and automate those processes by building agents on top. And that's the power of Oracle AI database, which we released. I think it was released in September last year, where we had all of these features packed in. And we took time. The last release was 19C of Oracle database. Now it's 26 AI. So we waited 5+ years to build these capabilities inside the world most scalable database. And the beauty to it is now that database, you don't have to depend on Exadata. You don't have to depend on us deploying that database for you. It is available anywhere. You want to deploy it on a laptop, you want to deploy that database on a Linux infrastructure. You want to use Exadata, which is powered appliance for price performance, or you want to deploy the same technology in any hyperscaler, whether it be Amazon, whether it be Google, whether it be Azure, or whether it be Oracle Cloud. You can deploy the same technology there and get benefited from all I talked about building live data agents. And that's where that technology is going to help us. And by the way, we provide the most price performant infrastructure in Oracle Cloud to run your application stack. So if you think about an end-to-end provider, we have the best infrastructure. We probably hold your enterprise data or the back office, so to call data in our ERP systems. We probably manage your OLTP systems. The most critical data of your organization is probably there. So when I think about the end-to-end ecosystem which we are providing, it makes us much more the default choice for people to adopt and create and start their AI journey, right? Whether you want to combine data together, we have introduced a new feature called as catalog of catalog, which allows you to create ontologies, which allows you to create large graph architectures for your data sets, but at the same time, leaving data at source, not moving it on
Mhm.
your existing investments. If you have invested in technology A, technology B, technology C, don't want to name them, but any technologies of data lakehouse or data cloud in the previous versions or other hyperscalers, you can run queries on them while leaving data there, but build agent on live data while they have access to all that historical data which you have collected. So that's the power in brief, right?
This is fantastic. Actually, there are a number of things I want to just pick up from that. There is a lot of detail in that response. Right after you and I spoke about it, I just happened to be on a customer call where the majority of their cloud investments are today on GCP, and they have a big presence with BigQuery. But they're also an Oracle SaaS customer. They're also an Oracle Integration Cloud customer. So they are very serious about looking at Oracle's AI capabilities. So we spoke to them about 26 AI. I brought up the Private Agent Factory. And their first question was, do I have to move data out of BigQuery into Oracle for me to use these capabilities? And my answer was exactly what you just said, is you don't have to, right? That data can be there, but we can still bring the AI capability to that. The other thing that I want to pick up on what you just spoke about is the right data. Oracle ERP becomes the master data source for a lot of those business critical functions. So it's in your Oracle database. If you can apply AI capabilities right there on top of that data, then you immediately address many of the common challenges that customers think about AI. Is it going to hallucinate? Is it going to make stuff up? If you can ground AI's response and actions in your own data set, which you curated over the last so many years, decades and decades of using Oracle products, then I think that's going to give you a much better outcome, more cleaner data in, cleaner data out, right? That kind of scenario. And then the last thing that I picked up from what you just said was I agree, Oracle definitely from a price performance standpoint is very competitive. But Oracle is also, over the last many years, as it has grown as a hyperscaler and built out Gen 2 cloud with so many services, it has really given customers the ultimate choice, right? You can build stuff on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, you can do it at these other hyperscalers, and you can integrate these clouds as if they're all sitting right next to each other. And Oracle's done a lot on that space. This is great. So looking ahead, Saurabh, I'm sure we could go on and on. We could talk for a lot. I think you have a lot to share. I really appreciate your time. But if you were to leave our audience with some parting thoughts on getting started or some pointers on how they should approach all of this stuff, what would you say?
I would say talk to your internal audience first. As a customer, if I am a customer, I will go and pick up on a CFO. I'll go pick up on a CIO. Not easy to get those meetings, but you have a way because they are part of your company to go and talk to them. Identify the right business problem. Identify what AI technologies you can invest based on risk profile of those inside your organization approved by your CISOs and CROs, and then from there on, consider an approach where you can POC or pilot a project for next 90 days, thinking about a scalable platform. That once I built this particular use case and solve this particular problem in 90 days, how can I scale it out to other parts of my business problems? So don't approach a big business problem. Okay, I'm going to increase revenue by 2.5 times of my company, but think about what is the first step you need to take to break that down into one business problem, solve that in 90 days. If you cannot solve them, kill that POC right there. You don't need to spend more than 90 days trying an idea and going from there. So think about business first, fail fast. If you don't succeed, learn from that failure and apply them over and over again. But at the end, your goal should not be tools and technologies. Even though I'm an Oracle seller, I'll say go use Oracle database for everything. But at the same time, I'm also telling you not think tools first. So go back to the business problems, think the workflows which you want to solve first, try to achieve them in 90 days, and then iterate over it. But build that in fundamental architecture where you can iterate and scale it once it is successful. And this is not just me telling you to do something on Oracle database, this is me telling you the way you can do it. The way you can do it is every developer should be doing a vibe coding. Every developer should be working on a vibe coding platform. Every developer has to be the same setup in their laptops so that once you're successful in that 90 days, the next POC or pilot should not take 90 days. So vibe coding, the way you are vibe coding, the way you're designing your architectures, the way you're designing your code, the way you're using AI to write the code, all of that should be a standard and should be a standard followed from day one, not after the POC. So don't experiment much with tools, technologies. Every tool is same. but start with the business problem and try to use the tools which can be standardized across and then scale it.
Excellent recommendation, Saurabh. I like that methodical approach, starting within the business, speaking to your counterparts. If it's IT initiating it, go talk to procurement, go talk to HR, go talk to your supply chain folks. If finance is initiating, reach across the aisle, talk to your counterparts. I think that's a great way to do it. Saurabh, it is a pleasure having you. I'm glad we could finally find a time to connect and talk about all of these things. I'm sure our audience would love it as well. Thank you so much. And I look forward to having you back on the podcast again at some other time.
Thank you, Arvind, and thank you for listening today.